entertainment, insights. Don't take life too seriously. Welcome to Brainsky Unleashed. Hello, everyone, and here we go again with yet another incredible episode of Brainsky Unleashed. Got a very special guest today. He's very famous. He's written a book. He's got a famous name, albeit this is the real deal, not the Hollywood deal. Today we have James Bond, James I. Bond. He is the author of Brain Glue, a very intelligent man. We've talked a little bit before the show. I've got a good background on his bio, and I think this is going to be a really good episode where you can get a lot of knowledge from it. Now, before we begin, very important, ladies and gentlemen, I see the analytics on my show. I know what you're doing. You're watching, you're viewing, but you're not hitting subscribe because I can see what you're doing. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, no less than 5 stars when you rate us, because why not? Of course, I'm better than 5 stars. They only give you 5. But here's the deal. If you want me to keep producing amazing content with guys like James Bond, the James Bond, better than the Hollywood version, then by all means, subscribe. Okay, James, welcome to the program, author of Brain Glue. Let's jump right into this. The first thing that I have to ask, Brain Glue, does it have any requirement or anything to do with Elmer's?
Of course, no. You know, I say, why brain glue? Because plain glue doesn't stick to the brain.
I mean, can it though? Does 3M have a solution?
I guess you can if you open up the brain, but the good news is with this one, you don't have to. So
hallelujah. Really, all right. So tell me a little bit about Brain Glue, and then I'm going to really try and push the limits here and see what we can do with Brain Glue. But what is Brain Glue?
So Brain Glue makes your ideas sticky. So let me give you some overview of it. It turns your products into a viral superstar. It turns your product into a viral superstar. And so you spend less and you make a lot more money, sell a lot more. Now, viral marketing spreads your message like a virus without you having to spend money. So like, viruses, we all know about viruses.
COVID is awesome.
All the other people get it. But what you want is you want to create, you want to, and by the way, humor is part of Brain Glue, okay? Which is really powerful. But it's, you come up with a phrase, a way to describe your product or the name of your product or idea, because this actually works with quotes too. I got to give you a couple of quotes that people go like, whoa, what? And they share it with friends, And so I'll give you 2 of them, okay? I work with Warren Buffett's team, so I love Warren Buffett. He loves Brain Glue type tools. Only when the tide goes out, you discover who's been swimming naked. What he's basically saying is only when times get tough, you realize who's capable and who's competent. But if he says that, you go, yeah, okay. But because he says only when the tide goes out, you discover who's been swimming naked, that gets your attention. It's got a trigger word too. So how about Winston Churchill? Diplomacy is the art of telling people to go to hell in such a way that they ask for directions. Winston Churchill loved Brain Glue kind of tools, okay? But Brain Glue, let me give you some examples of Brain Glue so people understand this, because it doesn't have to have humor, but humor helps, okay? We have Gorilla Glue, Famous Amos, Hula Hoop, Chips Ahoy, Rocky Road Ice Cream, Build-A-Bear, Porta Potty, MailChimp. There's just so many. Bob Parsons had a company called Jomax Technologies. He was struggling because people loved his services and internet website building service. People loved his service, but almost nobody was buying. And so then he got the idea. He sat down with a bunch of buddies and he said, let's come up with a better name. And somebody said, how about why don't we call it Big Daddy? But that was taken. So he said, why don't we call it GoDaddy? Guess what? It became a blockbuster of success. GoDaddy. A Gorilla Glue. I have friends who say that JB Weld is much better than Gorilla Glue. Yet Gorilla Glue dominates the marketplace for glue, for industrial glue, because it's Gorilla Glue. It's a cool name. It uses 2 Brain Glue tools. One is alliteration, or repetition of sound, good, Gorilla Glue. The other one is a metaphor, because when you open it up, it's got a gorilla inside. No, but things like that. So I'll give you just some comedy ideas, and I know you want to ask me a question. So
yeah, go ahead. You're on a roll. Don't let me stop you. Go.
Okay. Well, Squatty Potty. Okay.
Yes, I love Squatty Potty.
Well, it was actually called exactly, and it's funny but it sticks to the brain like glue. So, Paul Tran invented an electric razor for man's private areas.
Manscaped.
And he's thinking, I want to come up with a name that everybody knows what it is, but I don't want to offend people. So he's thinking, okay, what's it like? And this is one of the things, metaphor, like it's just like, and be as crazy as possible to start with. Okay. So he's going, it's just like a lawnmower. Why don't I call it the lawnmower? Okay. It's so successful. He sold over $150 million of sales with the lawnmower that he actually changed the name of his company to Manscaped. We're going to landscape a man with a lawnmower. So if I bought the lawnmower, I haven't, but if I bought the lawnmower, first, I would not share it with my friends. Let's start there. Okay. But, I can see calling my friend and say, "Hey, Joe, guess what I just bought?" "What?" "The lawnmower." "Well, you
I,
have to mow your lawn?" "No, it's to shave my private areas."
I
I
mean,
could hear him start laughing and
if
then
you're
sharing
trying,
it with his girlfriend. "Hey, guess what James just bought? The lawnmower."
but I
"What?"
mean,
"Yes."
if you're trying to get people's attention, then obviously you want to be using the lawnmower on social media. Just keep it above the head. And then everyone's going to want to be like, oh my God, I just saw this because that's that outrageous. Just,
Yeah, well, so I was in, I don't know, Bed Bath& and Beyond or some place with my wife, and there's a poster, a big poster, and it says in the headline, "The lawnmower," with an arrow, and it shows pictures of the shaver. What do you do? Like, everybody goes, "The lawnmower?" You stop and you start reading the text, and that's what you wanna do. I know John Gray, and John Gray was telling me he wrote this incredible relationship book called Men, Women, and Relationships. And people would buy the book. Almost nobody bought the book, but people who read the book said, "This is the most incredible relationship book I've ever read." And it frustrated him because, like, nobody was buying the book. He came up with the crazy idea of changing the title to "Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus." And then tweaked the content just a little. It's the same book, but tweaked the content just a little to refer to "Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus" throughout the book. He went from 20,000 to 50 million books sold, all because he changed the title. I
okay.
remember I was at a bookstore, Barnes and Noble or whatever, and I'm looking at books, book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, book. Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus? What the heck's that? Picked it up, which is what you want people to do if you're going to buy a product. Started looking through it and went, this is fantastic. And I bought the book, like 50 million other people. Okay. There's a lady. So this is physical. You want people to stop and go, whoa, and touch your product. Okay. But if you're selling it online, I was telling you about this just before we started. So this mom started a Facebook page. She has no money. She spends zero on advertising on social media, on Facebook, and she has more than 5 million fans. So how does she do this? So she was thinking, okay, I want to create a Facebook page for myself. Well, I'm a stay-at-home mom. Mommy needs a rest. It's exhausting having kids. Mommy needs time to herself. I know what mommy needs. Mommy needs vodka. So I have a friend who, I'm sure is a fan of hers. Okay. And he shared a post with me, on my Facebook page. So I'm looking at Facebook and I go, look at the post. No, it's a really good post. It's by Mommy Needs Vodka. We always look at those. By Mommy Needs Vodka? What the heck's that? I clicked on the post. I clicked on the link, took me to her page. I saw a bunch of her posts and I loved it. And I became a fan, like 5 million other people. Now, how many people out there have fantastic Facebook pages, but you don't have 5 million fans? And here's a woman, she spends zero, and she has more. In fact, she wasn't even selling anything. Now she's trying to sell stuff. Well, not she's selling stuff because she has so many fans. But I mean, she realized, like, whoa, this is powerful.
So the question that I have now is because I've been that guy who's got to try and think of catchy things. And sometimes I come up with absolutely asinine things that I know would go nowhere. Like if I was tasked with trying to come up with a name for, like the manscaper, I'd probably call it like the wiener saw or something like that, which would probably not work
She
out as
wanted to
well.
offend people,
I
you
mean,
didn't want to offend people.
it might catch
A wiener
something,
saw.
but there's so many people who they're in business. They God, coming up with names of things is virtually impossible. I was part of an exercise with one of my partners on a project, and my God, we went for like weeks just banging names back and forth. And still just, I think what was come up with was pretty good, but was it manscaping? Was it, mommy needs vodka? Was it no, it was nothing close to that. So what is your advice then for the rest of us who may not be able to just snap their fingers and go, hey, now granted, I'm not saying any of them snap their fingers. Even the mom with 5 million viewers probably never snapped her fingers and went, well, here's 5 million viewers. I'm going to drink vodka. But like, what could you tell us? Like, what is the best thing you could do to get to this level? Because not everyone can do it.
Well, get brain glue. Starts there, okay?
Obviously,
But
got
I
to
want
learn.
to say that, but it's just I didn't invent brain glue. I invented the term brain glue, but I discovered brain glue, and then people who go through the book start realizing, oh, that's why this is successful. So Jack Canfield wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, okay, and he loves my book. He loves it so much. He's forced everybody. He bought copies for everybody in his company. He's reading it, okay. He sold 500 million Chicken Soup for the Soul books. But he's telling me, and he sold over 60 other bestsellers, and he didn't apply brain glue like he did for the first one. And it's pissing him off. He actually got pissed off at me because he said, I was just looking at your book. I have so many books to read, and I couldn't put the damn thing down. Like, oh, I'm sorry. Could I use that as a quote, But he's telling me that, so he wrote the book and with his friend, and he's thinking, basically the book is 101 motivational stories that will change your life. But he's going, oh, that's kind of logical. And he said it took about a month. He was thinking through this. It was troubling him because it was just too logical a title. It wasn't emotional, and it's all emotional stories. He woke up one day and he said, when you really feel sick, chicken soup helps you feel better. So why don't I call it, it's chicken soup. My book is like chicken soup for the spirit. Didn't exactly work, but it was kind of close. He said, I want people to understand this is like having chicken soup. It's like it makes you feel better. And he said, after a weekend of sleepless nights, he realized he wanted alliteration, repetition of sound. Worked. He said, SOUP, soup, SOUL, soul, chicken soup for the soul.
Cool.
That works better. And suddenly he had a blockbuster. Okay. And he started promoting it. And it took a little while to promote it, but his sales exploded to a point where he sold 100 million Chicken Soup for the Soul books and 400 million of the other chicken soup books, Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul, Chicken Soup for the Cancer Survivor Soul. And he realized, like, whoa, I mean, can you imagine selling 500 million books? But he said, I didn't realize I was emotionally overtaken. Now, once I became so successful at Chicken Soup for the Soul, I would start promoting stuff and people would come and buy my books because they knew I was good at and promoting people. Promoting important values. But he said it troubled him because there were so many of his books that he could have used Chicken Soup for the Soul. He could have used brain glue type tools and applied it. So I'll give you 3 quick tools, okay?
Sure.
So the first one is metaphor, like Chicken Soup for the Soul, like the lawnmower. My product or idea is just like what, and be as crazy as possible. Okay. As crazy as possible. My book, Brain Glue, grabs attention just like a naked man running through your backyard. Okay. It's like, what? By the way, the
Especially
word naked is a trigger word. That works too. I have this guy his name is David Baer, Baer, and he and his partner have an advertising company that teaches advertisers how to make more money. And I'm sitting and I was talking to him and I said, him and his partner, and I said, I have the perfect name for your company.
bare naked.
Bare naked. Bare naked advertising. You got it exactly. Bare naked advertising. Because people already have that in their brain, which is called anchoring, where you take something that people already know and you use that.
All right. Step 1 is get that metaphor. Lock into a metaphor.
Get a metaphor. Come up with the craziest idea you could think of. The lawnmower, okay? What's your product like? It's just like a guy flying out of space and landing on your shoulder, Just have fun with it, okay? Because you want to stretch beyond the comfort zone. A second is rhyme.
Rhyming.
If the glove doesn't fit, you have to quit. I remember there were two of the jurors at the end of the OJ trial, and a journalist was asking, with all the evidence against OJ, and there was a ton of evidence, why'd you find him not guilty? And one of them responded while the other one nodded her head in agreement. And she said, we knew if the gloves don't fit, you must have quit. Oh, the gloves didn't fit. We had to acquit. I would have said, you have to love how he faked the glove.
I said anyone could do that, and yet it worked.
It sticks to the brain. It's Squatty Potty. It sticks to the brain because it's rhyme and it's fun and it's funny and all that stuff. And so the second one is rhyme. Rhyme could be a really tremendous one. Okay.
Okay.
And the third one is alliteration, like Gorilla Glue, like a Rocky Road ice cream. You know, Rocky Road ice cream is amazing. It was actually developed by Dreyer's Ice Cream in the Great Depression. And it's Rocky Road. When you open it up, it has rocks inside it. Do you know that? No, it doesn't. It's chocolate ice cream with nuts and marshmallows.
So expand on this a little bit further. I mean, how do we really simplify this one? I mean, I think the other two are very clear, but if you're doing something like focusing on commercialization, I'm going to use my friend Craig here as an example
Uh,
for his business, or if you're trying to be a local bread maker. I mean, how are you going to really drive some good alliteration out of this?
Well, so you're creating a glue, okay?
Okay.
So it's glue. So the word glue is going to be there. You can either make sticky, so you find words that are similar to a sticky and everything else. But you want to say glue is a good one because you want people to know it's glue, okay? Because it's really glue.
Mhm.
Brain glue is brain glue, okay? But it's glue. So you're creating glue. And so you start with a metaphor. So it's just like, oh, I don't know, like an elephant is as strong as it's strong. Okay. So strong is a word. So find metaphors for a word strong. It's as strong as a skyscraper. It's as strong as okay. And now try alliteration, repetition of sound. Good. So glue, gorilla. Oh, gorilla glue. Yeah, gorilla's strong. Gorilla's big. Gorilla Glue, good, good, Gorilla Glue. And so when you think of that, Rocky Road Ice Cream, Marilyn Monroe, Chevy Chase, we remember their names. Marilyn Monroe changed her name. Her name was Norma Jean Mortensen. And her manager said when she was a model,
Never gonna work.
Marilyn is a better name than Norma Jean. You want to change it to Marilyn? And she went, okay. And then she, without understanding, it's because it's inside our heart sometimes, and we recognize this. Her mom's maiden name was Monroe. So she said, Marilyn Monroe. Why don't I call my name Marilyn Monroe? Then the second thing was she loved Jean Harlow, who was a major movie star back in the day, the early days of the movies. And Jean Harlow had platinum blonde hair. Marilyn Monroe lived in Southern California. So she actually went to the same hairdresser as Jean Harlow and said, could you dye my hair platinum blonde just like hers? Okay, fine, great. Okay, so that's that. Then this other thing is she said she had a beauty mark on her face, on her left cheek, and she would cover it up with makeup. But one day she's looking at photos of Jean Harlow and she goes, wait a second. In some photographs, she has a beauty mark on her cheek. And in some photographs, it's on her chin. And she went, I bet she doesn't even have a beauty mark. I bet she's putting a dot on her face to bring attention to herself. So Marilyn, instead of hiding it, she was darkened the beauty mark on her face and suddenly became a blockbuster success. That isn't the only reason, but that's part of it. And she believes that had a lot to do with it. So there's Cindy Crawford. Cindy Crawford is a supermodel. Okay, she was the first supermodel. And in her biography, Cindy Crawford says she has a beauty mark on above her left lip, big one, you know.
Mhm.
And she says when she was young, she begged her mom, "Mommy, please take me to the doctor and get this removed." She says, "Right now, I am so glad my mom didn't get it removed because I believe that's a big part of why I became a supermodel."
Wow.
Okay. And it's just what made me think of start looking at these things. You can look at Mike Tyson. He's got a tattoo
He's got a
down one
giant
side
face
of his
tattoo.
chin.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Very
And
handsome.
so there's a famous advertiser in the early days of the advertising industry named David Ogilvy. And he was working with Hathaway shirts. And Hathaway, uh, um, Warren Buffett's company is Berkshire Hathaway. He actually bought Hathaway shirts, okay, in the company. But back then, David Ogilvy was working with the beginning marketing of Hathaway shirts. And so if you're doing an ad for a shirt company, what do? You show a good-looking guy in a shirt, nice pair of pants, maybe a nice background, and that's it, right? It looks just like every other shirt ad. So David Ogilvy decided he wanted to use this, which is called asymmetry. We like symmetry, okay, where the two sides look alike. But if you have asymmetry, so one side of the face has something else, you go, whoa, look at that. Like she's got a dot on her face. You don't realize it, but they have it. But David Ogilvy put an eye patch on the guy, and he called the headline, because most people just read a headline, "The Man in the Hathaway Shirt." And I remember seeing the ad and reading it. He never explained why does the guy have an eye patch, but you remember it. So you're flipping through a page, you're looking at shirt guy, and guy with he recognized that asymmetry works, symmetry works, but asymmetry works better.
Hmm.
And so, these are tools that when you start to realize this, you go like, whoa, you were telling me about this. You were doing a post and
Yeah.
you saw You decided to start shaving your hair,
I
your
was
nose hairs while
flipping
you're
my nose hair, for my fans. But yes, it's doing something a little bit different. As a matter of fact, you have inspired me as you've been talking. I have come up with two new brands that must come to market. You ready for this?
uh-oh.
Let me know if Brain Glue has just worked on Thomas Brainsky. You ready for this?
Uh-huh.
If I was to be doing if I was to redo the manscaping idea, if we called it Cleaner Wiener or Wiener Cleaner, would that work? And
That
then
would work.
and then we reference bread, and what about Right Said Bread?
Okay. That's
I mean,
pretty
does
good.
it work? Am I close?
Yeah, that's very good. That's very good.
I
There's a
was too.
famous bread one, which is in the early days of the bread industry, Wonder Bread dominated the bread industry because they invented sliced bread.
Mhm.
And then eventually, their competitors came up with a phrase that turned Wonder Bread almost bankrupt. What was the phrase? The whiter your bread, the quicker you're dead.
Whoa.
What happened was we have, COVID and everything else we had. They had pellagra, which is an illness similar to
Mhm.
COVID in that and people started dying all over the place. Then they realized that people were dying, people were getting pellagra because their body was absent vitamin B3. And B3, we get it now in niacin, but that's why a lot of foods have niacin. Well, with Wonder Bread, they bleach your bread and it kills off most of the vitamins and minerals.
Right.
And so because of that, the competitor said, "Hey, if you're eating Wonder Bread, the whiter your bread, the quicker you're dead." Now, back then, they didn't have TV. I don't think they did. But so they talked to journalists and they start putting it as headlines in their magazines and newspapers.
Ugh.
The whiter your bread, the quicker you're dead. Wonder Bread. Da, da. And literally, Wonder Bread almost went bankrupt. What they ended, Mike Wonder Bread invented formal fortified food. They're gonna start putting, niacin and other things inside their bread because they recognized they didn't have it, and suddenly they recovered. It never became blockbuster. They never dominated the industry. But before that phrase, for 10 years, Wonder Bread dominated the bread industry. After that one phrase, the whiter your bread, the quicker you're dead, they almost went bankrupt. I mean, that's
That's
how
incredible.
powerful,
That's
you know.
very powerful. And I mean, there's another thing that to me is very powerful, and I know we have to wrap this thing up. I know that you're short on time, but I think we can all agree or disagree on this very simple fact that the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
Exactly. There you go. Exactly. You
I
know?
don't drink Folgers because it's probably not the best thing in your cup. Because anytime you
Yeah.
put any instant coffee in anything, it's just disgusting. But what could you tell the audience? What last bit of wisdom can you offer, as well as make sure that we give you the opportunity to plug your book again? That is Brain Glue. Is there a website that they can go to find you and find that
Yeah,
book
well,
to get that book?
if they do mini brain glue, M-I-N-I, minibrainglue.com, I actually have a section of the book you can get for free. So you can sort of go through that, which is really cool. But, so I would start with a metaphor. My product or idea, my book, my product is just like, and then be as crazy as possible because we tend to be very logical. And so stop being logical for a second and accept this. I got this from Zig Ziglar in early in my life. I hated selling. I love it now. But he said selling is nothing more than a transference of passion. And so you need to people need to read, Squatty Potty and they go, oh, what's that? Oh. And so start with a metaphor. My product or idea is just like, and have as much fun with it as possible. And then share it with friends. I think with a lot of you, you're going to realize that might actually be a pretty good sales pitch.
And you could always have a lot of laughs with friends. I am reasonably sure that I probably could have gotten Zig Ziglar to buy the cleaner wiener. I'm just saying.
I love it. You're awesome.
All right. Well, listen, James Bond, thank you so much for joining the program. I think that you've offered actually a lot of really rock solid wisdom. And, for me, and I can speak for all of my audience who, once again, needs to be hitting the subscribe button in saying thank you for joining the program. And thank you so much for giving us what you have, because it does give us something to work with, to look at our product, to look at our service and go, we've got to get out there. We got to be a little bit different. What can we say or do? And to now know that we've got 3 basic steps to work through to try and get us that edge that we've been missing. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Tom, so much for having me. I love your podcast. So it's great being.
And James, make sure you subscribe. Just saying.